Good morning, everyone. Hi. You could say good morning back. There we go. There we go. That is the energy and enthusiasm we are looking for today. Welcome to the Grow, Network, and Learn stage. My name is Sasha Summer Cousineau. I use she, her pronouns, and I am so pleased to be your MC today. We want to thank our production sponsor of this stage, Own the Night. Could we give them a quick round of applause? Thank you so much. So you have arrived at a conversation called Neuroscience plus Event Design, Strategies to Engage and Inspire. Are you ready to elevate event design with neuroscience-backed strategies? Something tells me you are, and that's why you're here. In this interactive workshop, you'll explore how the brain processes connection, engagement, and memory, and learn how to apply these insights directly to your events. Scrolled away. This is going to be a hands-on session, hence the Play-Doh you received at the door, and you are going to use that to dive into multisensory activations, pattern interrupts, and emerging technologies, giving you actionable tools to create experiences that resonate deeply with your attendees. Whether you're designing conferences, meetings, or experiential activations, you'll gain insights to craft events that captivate and inspire. And we are so pleased to bring our first speaker to this stage this morning to guide you through this conversation. Our speaker is Lisa Schulteis, event strategist, international speaker, and I think this next one deserves a big whoop whoop, executive director of Northwest Event Show, and the founder of Electrolyme Marketing and Your Event Marketplace, with a background in neuropsychology and over 10 years of experience producing events for Fortune 500 companies, associations, and nonprofits. Lisa blends behavioral science with innovative event strategy. She's known for designing unforgettable experiences, whether live, virtual, or hybrid, and she brings a unique lens to topics like sustainability, neuroscience, and the strategic power of events. Now, before I bring our speaker to the stage, I want to let you know a few things. This is being recorded. There will be a Q&A included in this session. If you wish to ask a question, I'm sure you will, we need to make sure you're on microphone, because it's being recorded. You might see that microphone right there in the center of the room. If you are able, I invite you when it's Q&A time to head on over there and ask your question. If you are not, wave me down. I'll walk over and give you a microphone. And with no further ado, let's welcome our first speaker of the morning to the stage, the one, Lisa Schulteis.
Good morning. Okay, come on, y'all. I'm like hot and sweaty from running back and forth from registration at this point, so good morning. Thank you. I keep telling everybody, I'm like, one of these days, I'm gonna write a book of all the crazy, we'll go with the word stuff, that happens at events. And I'm gonna call all of you, because I'm gonna be like, hey, this is like community driven, right? Like, let's put this baby together. It's gonna be hysterical. So one of these days we'll do it. But wanted to give a big round of applause to Sasha for the morning. She is like one of the most energetic MCs I have, so please give her a round of applause. I adore her. She's rocking that pink suit. I'm a little bit jealous. I'm hiding in the black this morning. So anyway, but let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to try to stay between the speakers and not give you guys any feedback. So neuroscience and event design is really important. And a lot of times people come up to me and they're like, well, I don't even know like if that would even apply to me. So for those of you who are in the room, how many of you plan, host, or somehow are coordinating events, meetings, anything? Wow. Any suppliers in the room? I know there's a couple. Okay, awesome. So when it comes to meetings and events, there's only a few different kinds of meetings and events, right? And this is as many as I could put on the slide. There's more. So if you're doing, I'm so used to having it back here. If you're doing any of these or any of the other creative ones that you all come up with, you can actually apply neuroscience into your event design, and we're going to talk about that. So pick a type, you can do it. So why does neuroscience actually matter for event design? Well, we have this really amazing thing in our head called a brain. Now, I want all of you to make 2 fists. Great, put them together. That's the size of the average brain. This thing in our head runs all of this, including the crazy event executive director at all times, right? So this amazing brain is made up of neurons. Only a few. Anybody know how many? Shout it at me if you know. 8 million? 4 billion? One more guess. 31 trillion. You're a little high. Ooh, the rest of you are low. There's only 86 billion estimated neurons. That's the ones that the scientists have counted. I have no idea how they count. I'm lucky if I get past 20. Okay? But there are 86 billion neurons in our head that are controlling everything that we do. And what's really interesting, and I'm not going to get into it today because there's a whole different conversation, there's this thing called neuroplasticity, where we can actually rewire our brain and these neurons, which is amazing. So with all of these neurons, here's your biology lesson for the day. There will be a test at the end. There are different areas of our brain that control different things that are happening at events. So our prefrontal cortex, for example, controls our memory. It also controls our engagement. So in terms of memory, it's involved in working memory, right? It's involved in decision making. In terms of engagement, it's governing focus, it's governing attention. If I switch over to the hippocampus, that again is talking about memory, right? Responsible for forming and storing new memories, spatial navigation and learning. If I look at my parietal lobe, that's engagement, right? That's processing sensory input. So these are just some of the areas of the brain that we can actually tap into at events. So we're going to be talking about those different things today as well. Amygdala is my favorite one to say because it's just fun to say. Nucleus accumbens is the one that I struggle with. So your brain deserves better events, flat out. Events for many years didn't change, they need to change. Your brain deserves better events. So how can we engage the brain during the events? Well, there's a few ways. Also, I always say events, for all my meeting planners in the room, that includes you. I'm the weirdo that actually puts those in one bucket. I understand that meeting planners are like, I don't plan events. I get that. So I'm just putting everything in one bucket. I just wanted to clarify that. So using and tapping into different parts of the brain, we can actually help the brain build trust and relationships. So oxytocin, often known as the love hormone, we'll leave it there, is responsible for social bonding. So oxytocin is released during positive social interactions. So if we can have positive social interactions where we're actually getting that rushing, that's going to have a positive effect on our event. Trust formation. Research has shown that oxytocin enhances trust between individuals by reducing fear and anxiety. So as I'm going through these different things, if you have paper, if you have computers that you guys want to take notes on, feel free to start putting notes on there like, how can I increase trust at my event? How can I get that oxytocin rush going? There's some notepads. I probably don't have enough for everybody, but they're there. And then emotional memory. So oxytocin helps link positive emotions to very specific social experiences. Let me say that again. It links positive emotions to very specific social experiences, and that makes those experiences more memorable. So, a lot of us use networking at events to build trust and to build relationships, and networking is great, but it can be hard for some. So here's my fun question, and hopefully we're getting more chairs in the room too. Here's my fun question. Where are my introverts in the room? Yeah, where are my true introverts that aren't gonna raise their hand? Okay? Where are my really, really outgoing social people? Yeah, y'all, I don't understand you. I'm the introvert that nobody believes is an introvert. I can fake it all day long. And then you might be able to tell that the one at the door is related to me. I get home at night, she looks at me and she's like, peace out, mama, I'm not gonna even talk to you because I know you need to recharge, right? So anybody who is an introvert, anybody who maybe neurodiverse individuals, right? Networking's great, but it can be really, really hard for them. So we need to find a way to make connections for people. We need to find ways to make that trust and those relationships get formed. And we all do really cool, unique things at events, right? We can do AI matchmaking. We can do speed networking. We can do, I don't know, fill out the survey and answer the 55 questions about what your interests are, right? No one yell at me for that on registration. But we can also sometimes make it super, super simple too. I've already done that for everybody in this room. Who has purple Play-Doh? Raise it, hold it up. My purple Play-Doh people, look around. You now have new friends in this room. Who has pink Play-Doh? Hold it up. You now all have something in common. We can go through every Play-Doh color. There is a reason I had you guys pick that. Because you now already have something in common with somebody sitting in this room with you. And that was super simple. It's called Amazon and handing it out, right? You guys got to pick it out. So we can take things and build that trust, build those relationships faster, but just make it super simple. We don't always have to do the really cool, hard stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's exhausting. But sometimes we can make it really simple for people. So let's just not forget the simple things. All right, dopamine. Dopamine's related to pleasurable experiences. Also gonna leave that one there, y'all. With the event world, that's pleasurable experiences when we're meeting people, talking to people, we're smiling, we're having a great time, right? Any kind of reward anticipation, gamification, any kind of prizes. You all have bags, imagine that, with really good orange boxes inside if you haven't looked inside yet. So any kind of reward anticipation and then goal achievement and motivation there as well. So events that increase dopamine, anything that's pleasurable. You all now know something really, really important about me. What's my favorite activity? Look at the screen. Thank you, shopping. Shopping increases my dopamine like crazy. My husband, not so much. So things that can increase dopamine that we can do at events. Social interaction, again, it will increase our dopamine levels if we're careful with our people that are sensitive. Creative activities, right? You all have Play-Doh. Has anybody opened their Play-Doh and started playing with it yet? Ooh, only a few. So they're all having more fun than the rest of you. Okay, pleasurable, creative activities. Exercise, it's a rumor, I don't know. Learning new things, and then winning or achieving something. So all of those different events, if we can bring in an element of those into our events, those all increase our dopamine levels and give us that pleasurable experience. So you can use challenges to engage your attendees' minds. So what do I mean by that? Challenges, allow people to work together, right? It allows them to get creative. It allows them to think differently. So some of it is basic, right? We do gamification, we do gamified learning. We are doing gamification here at the show, so when you guys are on the event floor, you can go to every exhibitor and they all either have a fancy answer or a code. I have a special one too. So we do gamification at the events. We're doing an awards at this event for the first time this year. So I hope you all downloaded the app and you guys are gonna vote on the exhibitors because they're all waiting for your votes, right? Make them work for it, by the way. So use leaderboards, use rewards, use competitive tasks, problem-solving activities, anything that is collaboration focused, that's gonna encourage teamwork and that's going to encourage and really develop that critical thinking. So gamified learning is one of them. Choose your own adventure, right? This one terrifies people. Well, terrifies event planners. But you can do interactive storytelling. So even as a speaker, if I wanted to, it's not going to happen today, I could sit there and say, you guys, what do you want to talk about? Here's your 3 topics. Somebody, let's vote on it. This is what I'm going to talk about today. I'm already enough flustered for the day. I'm not going to go the route, but I could. You can do the same thing with your events, right? You could have topic tables. I love topic tables for lunch, where people can go find the topic that they want to talk about, right? You can have people actually help you decide what your sessions should be. It's just a matter of how much control you want to let go of, coming from the control freak in the room, right? Event planners are never control freaks. But there's a lot of different ways that we can do that interactive storytelling. And you want to make your events memorable. So let me give you a couple examples here. First off, I want you guys to think, what one event or what one session do you remember the most? Take a minute and think about it. What one event or what one session do you remember the most? Now, is that memory a good one? Or is it a bad one? Hopefully none of you went, this one. Right. We have memorable events. We have events that are unforgettable. We want them to be unforgettable and memorable for good reasons. So what we want to do is we want to use pattern interrupts. And so a pattern interrupt is a way, about 20 minutes into a session, people start they're on their phone, they're not paying attention, their attention is gone, right? So if we use a pattern interrupt, if we come in and do something different, if we do something surprising, if we change the subject, that can get their creative thinking and get their attention back. So you guys have probably seen, I don't know how many times, right? I've got speakers sitting up here in the front row. How many of you have seen speakers that throw chocolate out at the audience? Oh, good Lord, only a few of you? You guys are going to the wrong sessions. So speakers a lot of times will use that. They will take it and they will throw chocolate at you. Sorry to disappoint you, this speaker is not throwing chocolate at you this morning. Oh, but by the way, Grace is. Woohoo! A little bit faster. All right, now she's gonna get it all over the tables and you guys have chocolate for the morning. So that's just a simple pattern interrupt, right, that we can do. I have your attention now, right? Now I actually have to just get it focused back from eating the chocolate to maybe paying attention to me, but we're good. So this is gonna age me. Does anybody know who Ken Cragen is? Oh, please, just one. JT's like, yeah. Okay, Ken Cragen in 1985 did this little tiny thing called We Are the World. Has anybody know the song? Okay. I saw him speak about 9 years ago, and in 1985, he did We Are the World, and he gathered the most amazing compilation of singers to create this song that you would have never thought would go together, okay? Kenny Rogers and Cyndi Lauper, man. So this is a list of just the singers that he got together just to do the solo parts. This doesn't include the chorus. There's another 30 people on the chorus. The man was amazing. He also in 1986 did Hands Across America. I think they had 55 million people holding hands across the US. So I got to see him speak it about 9 years ago, and he was talking about how to be unforgettable. And that you just need to do something to surprise people. You just need to do something that's a pattern interrupt, right? He didn't use those terms, that's my term. And as he was talking, we started hearing this music in the distance. And it kept getting closer and closer, and we're all sitting in the room. There's about 100 of us. We're like, what the heck is going on? It's getting closer and closer. And all of a sudden, the double doors open. And the marching band from the local high school in Beverly Hills marches into the room, playing their song, marches across the front of the stage, quickly exits out, and as fast as they were in here, they were gone. And after they left, he looked at us and he said, do something unforgettable. Now, you don't have to have a marching band, but I will never forget that session. We lost Ken a couple years ago. I will never forget that session. So find a way to make your events memorable and unforgettable in a good way. There's our marching band. That's just Stock photo, sorry. I couldn't find my one from that day. So another way that we can find to make things memorable and unforgettable is to actually engage all our senses at an event to create that unforgettable experience. So the two senses that we use always at an event are sight and sound, right? We show people stuff, they get to listen to the crazy speaker up on the stage. Those are the two we use. But we can enhance those. We can use really dramatic lighting, right? So if we want to affect the mood in the room, we can use lighting. Those of you who are going to the welcome reception will see that. They have to put blue lights on in the entire Ocean Pavilion at night for the animals. So we get to have the blue light animal experience tonight. It's going to be different. We can use sound, right? Networking, it's always upbeat music. They had upbeat music going over there with Baba. He's going to be up here in a little bit too. But if we're at a really involved networking event where I actually want to be able to hear you, upbeat music may not be the right thing. And I'm going to offer in some inclusivity tips on these senses because we want to be sure that we're sensitive to people who have sensitivities, right? So I'm very sensitive to loud noise. I don't like it. I can handle it for a little bit and then I'm going to leave. So just be aware that we might want to watch what levels we have noise at. Flashing lights can be horrible, right? There are events that I can't go to because I can't think right now. What's the flickering light? Strobe. You all win a prize. It's chocolate. It's in front of you. Strobe lights for me make me dizzy. I can't handle them. So all of a sudden I'm talking up here. I'm like realizing that maybe I'm a little bit extra special, a little high maintenance. But from an inclusivity tip, just watch your sound and your sight. Smell. Smell creates emotional connections for us. So you can do things like subtle scents, right? You can bring in, I've gone to events where they had an event smell. It was a good one, don't worry. But they can create those memorable experiences, right? I want all of you to open your Play-Doh right now. Take a whiff. How many of you all of a sudden feel like you're 5 years old? Right? That is such a unique scent, and it's tied to everything that we did when we were putting the Play-Doh through the thing and the hair was coming out and then it would get jammed. And then you get the Play-Doh in the carpet and then your mom would yell at you. Hopefully that wasn't just me. Okay. So Play-Doh, right? It's a scent that takes us back. So if we can give people a scent that creates that memorable experience, that's a sense that we don't normally use at events, right? So we want to use them strategically in specific areas. That signature scent for entry spaces. I've seen PCMA does a great job, getting the girls. I don't know if they do the guys' bathroom, but the women's bathroom is amazing at PCMA. You guys are probably missing it. It's decorated, right? It smells nice. It's amazing. Not something you normally associate with bathrooms. But again, watch your scents, right? Heavy perfumes, heavy scents, you're going to make some people unhappy, so just watch what those levels are. And then taste. We can connect flavor with engagement and experiences as well. So curate some of those food and beverage experiences and those options to reflect your event's theme. Source local flavors, signature dishes, things like that. You'll see that through all of our events that we're doing over the next 2 days. Mocktail bars with botanicals are great because then you get taste and smell, right? And again, promoting inclusivity, correct? Because we need to make sure, and you guys have heard this preached to you, if I'm not drinking, I still want the fancy umbrella in the fancy drink, in the fancy glass. I don't want a soda. Well, I might want a soda, but I actually want the soda in the fancy glass with the umbrella, right? So give people those options so that we can go ahead and they feel included in this, right? Non-alcoholic beer, it's not hard. Our caterers have to work harder with us, okay? And then dietary restrictions, cultural preferences, right? We try to ask questions if we're serving at an event. This is not the only event I do. I know everybody thinks it is. This is only my part-time gig. Other events, we try to ask if we're serving dinners and things, we ask things about different food sensitivities, different diets, things like that to make sure that we're including things not only based on allergy, but on cultural preferences. So be sure that you're including that. And then touch. This is from IMAX. I don't know how many of you saw that at IMAX. This is just an example, but you want to incorporate tactile elements, right? I'm watching you, you're playing with your Play-Doh, I'm loving it, right? She's already getting that tactile experience just sitting here listening to me. So anytime we can bring this in, this one was from Traced by Isla. They were doing a survey. Who loves filling out surveys on paper or digital experiences? Yeah, I see like 3 hands, y'all, right? Nobody loves it. They did a survey. I think there were 5 questions in it. And the first one, I work for a venue, an agency, a supply chain business, or corporate. That's where you started your string. And then the next question was, my organization has a dedicated sustainability lead, a green team, or no specific dedicated resource for sustainability. So you just took your string and brought it around, right? So they had 5 questions. And it was great because they offered a tactile way for people to answer a boring survey. And it was also a way to have this big community-sourced board that I could just sit there and be like, wow, there are a lot of agencies here and not a lot of venues. That's kind of surprising. We're at IMAX, right? I expected more venues. So it's just a really interesting way that they actually added this in and incorporated it. So again, inclusivity-wise, use tactile features that are easy to access, easy to understand, and interact with all the attendees, okay? And then technology. We all love technology, right? Everything's going tech. So there's a couple of things that we can do. We can add in interactive polling and live Q&A if you do it correctly. We've all seen it horribly done wrong, right? So there are reasons to do this. Polling, attendees can actually vote on session topics. We talked about that with the Choose Your Own Adventure. They can share opinions during presentations. If you guys go into the app after this session in Event Mobi, you can actually give me a 5-star rating versus a 1, hopefully. And you can actually give me feedback if you want to. If you don't want to, that's okay too, right? But we can actually use polling for different reasons. We can actually ask people what they want, right? How they want it. How do they want things being delivered? So let's use that in the right way. And then with our Q&A, it allows us to have those real-time discussions, right? There might be something I say up here that I think is perfectly understandable, because in my head it is. But they may, somebody in the audience might be like, what is she talking about? My husband usually looks at me like that too. But with the Q&A, it allows us to clarify those things, right? So let's incorporate those different elements so that we can actually engage with our attendees and get feedback from them. And we can use those technologies to do that. Sentiment analysis. This is a picture courtesy of Zenus. I don't know if anybody knows who they are, but they do ethical facial recognition. And so I promise it's not here today. They can put cameras up on the wall behind me that are looking at the audience, and they can actually analyze whether you like me or not. They can actually also analyze when I'm doing well, and then I said something really stupid and I lost you, and I came back and I said chocolate, and then you all were back. So I can actually time it with I would never do this, it would be terrifying. I could actually time it with a transcript of my presentation and know exactly when I lost you guys. It's terrifying. But it's actually great useful information for a speaker and for the people holding the events to know whether I'm any good or not. But it's ethical AI, so they're not collecting any of your data, they're just analyzing your face. They can also tell me whether I'm female, and they can also tell me what age group I'm in, and we just don't like that fact, but that's okay. I adore them, they're great guys. But it also allows us to perform those A/B tests, right? Those split tests to examine our effectiveness on our different activations, our different speaking, anything that we're doing at our show. And then projection mapping. This one's more expensive, y'all. You don't have to do it, but it's kind of fun. So this is one that a client of mine shared. They built a kind of casita background, and they actually did projection mapping not only on the outside walls of the casita, but they actually had the videos inside the little arches of the casita. That was really, really cool. And then you can use that canvas for storytelling, so they took it one step further. This is their dinner outside. So not only did they project their Day of the Dead theme on the back walls, but they projected down on the tabletops, which is just really cool, right? And again, this is something more expensive that many of us don't have in our budgets, but if you can bring an element in for projection mapping, right? It's just something else to bring people into that immersive experience if you want to actually bring in technology that does things like this. So you can do those themes, you can do those brand stories, and bring in those interactive elements. And then there's AR and VR. This is just going to keep growing, right? So if you're going to use AR and VR, some creative uses, use them for product launches, showcase 3D models, right? You can showcase 3D models on a computer too, but it's really cool if they have the goggles on and they're like playing. Don't ever let me do that. I'd probably fall off the stage or do something really stupid. But you can use AR and VR for product launches. You can use it for virtual tours, right? During those couple years, about 5 years back, that we don't talk about anymore, right? We were seeing things like the virtual Van Gogh exhibits, those immersive experiences that people could come in and watch and do. So you can do that for virtual tours. I'm hearing venues who are doing virtual tours with this now. That's really cool. I get to see the space without having to get on a plane. I'm a sustainability champion. That makes me happy. And interactive storytelling, right? Allow them to explore your brand's history or take them on a journey through your brand, right? If I'm standing in a booth telling you about my brand, it could be okay, it could be exciting if I'm really good, but if I can immerse you in it, that's gonna be a totally different experience because you're using different senses again. That's the entire key thing here. And then just, again, inclusivity, just clear instructions, right? Not everybody is quite as tech savvy as everybody else, right? And then make sure that, you know, you have an alternative. If somebody is sensitive and doesn't want things touching their face, or if things make them, you know, motion sick or anything like that, just have a backup for them. So kind of in closing here, I really want to encourage you to make your events memorable. I want you to work on fostering trust through social interaction. I want you to use challenging content to activate the brain, whether it's people doing challenges together or doing puzzles, or your content is challenging but not in the hard way, challenging in the good way, right? And then engaging your multiple senses for those stronger memories. Let's activate the oxytocin, let's activate the dopamine, right? Because your brain deserves better events, and so do your attendees. So thank you very much. If we have any questions, I'm happy to answer questions. Also, if you want to connect with me or get the slides, you can scan this QR code. The slides will come automatically to you, and then in a couple of days when I've had sleep, I actually have a worksheet that you can work through as well to work through some of these different topics that we talked about on the slides. But does anybody have any questions at this point?
Remember, friends, if you have a question, please either walk to the mic or flag me, and I will run over to you. For those of you able, here's a microphone right here, but I'll come to you first.
Thank you so much. You were mentioning that sentiment analysis, that AI, what AI did you say that was?
Zenus,
Zenus.
Z-E-N-U-S.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
When you're starting that planning, like building that strategy, what framework are you using to make sure that you're bringing all of these elements into the event?
Yeah.
From the very beginning, do you have a brief? Like, how do you build that so that it's inclusive of all these pieces?
Right. And some of that will be on the worksheet that I'm going to give you guys in a few days. But to actually answer the question, the first thing I actually start with is I really look at my customer, or who my avatar is. And I have a digital marketing background as well. So I don't necessarily look at my marketing avatar. I look at my attendee avatar, right? Who are they? What makes them unique? What makes them different? So I have clients that we produce events for physicians. And I have clients that we produce events for 5th grade STEM competitions. And I have clients that we produce for that are just like a one-day meeting, right? So very three different things. So I look at who the attendees are and what makes them unique. What are they interested in? What things do they absolutely hate, right? Physicians, by the way, if any of you are doing medical things, when you try to switch them to digital presentations for their poster sessions, yeah, have fun with that. They don't like it. So that's really where I start, is with that avatar. And then I look at my different experiences and say, okay, is this experience going to be for everybody? How can I tweak it if I need to, right? Am I bringing a sustainability question into it? Am I bringing a neuroscience question into it? Am I bringing an inclusivity question into it? And y'all, like, I'm a big ChatGPT person. I flat out will go into ChatGPT or whoever you like, Copilot, and I will say, hey, I'm thinking about this for my event. Here are the things that I've already included from an inclusivity standpoint, for example. What am I forgetting? So much smarter than I am some days. But use your team, use AI, and start asking those questions. The big thing is asking the questions.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
We still have 9 minutes left for this session, so be thinking of your questions. We want to make use of this time with you.
Lisa, thank you for this great session. I'm curious about your philosophy. You're doing all this work like under the hood. How much of this do you get buy-in from your client, or do you just let them trust you with the magic if they're questioning, hey, this seems like too much? Like, just tell us how you work with your client through these choices.
Depends on the client, right? Which we all know, right? Some of them are really, really easy. Some of them maybe not so much. But a lot of times I just build things in. Right? If I know that we can build them in and it makes sense, and as we all know, sometimes with our clients, telling them is not the best idea, right? It's just giving them too much information. It's also giving them something else to say no to. So some clients, some of it, if it just makes sense, I'll bring it in. So I will say things, Stuart will tell you, I drive him crazy, right? We're really good friends. We'll be planning one of the receptions, for example, and I'm like, okay, well, great, we have A, B, and C, but did we think about D, right? And then he's like, no. Or he's like, yes, of course, right? So with him, it's a little bit easier, some other clients not. And then other clients, they will tell me no. And I'll say, okay, well, here are the reasons that I'm advocating this. Here are the reasons you really should consider it, and here's what could happen if you don't. However, it's still your event. You get to make the final decision. And they make the final decision, and I don't agree with it, and then something happens. I don't say nanny, nanny, boo-boo, I was right. I think it, but I don't say it. But I come back to them and I say, okay, well, this is what we talked about. This is why I was concerned, or this is why I brought it up. So for our next event, maybe we should consider this. So it's the same hand-holding as it is with anything else, whether we're talking budget, whether we're talking whether the internet's going to work. But if they don't need to be involved, I keep them out. If they do need to be involved, I kind of guide them just like I do anything else.
All right, friends, 7 minutes of Lisa's time still available to you. Anybody else have a question?
Hi, Jose from Starbucks. We have a huge hybrid audience for our events. Is there any latest tip that you would go after those virtual attendees?
Oh, yeah. So I'm a huge hybrid advocate, by the way. A lot of people are not.
Yeah.
I am. I still am. I'm like, we have to bring in that virtual audience because my perspective on it is, if I had everybody come to this event and I said 50% of you couldn't walk in my door, you would look at me like I was insane, right? So guess what a hybrid event allows? It allows the other 50% to walk in the door. But you have to also know that the virtual attendees are not going to have the same experience. Anybody who thinks they are going to have the same experience, I'm sorry, they're delusional. So we try to bring in different elements and experiences for them, depending on the size of the event, and also, not that we like to say this, but depending on the importance of your attendees, right? We've done everything from mailing special boxes to them that bring in food, that bring in smells, that bring in touch, that bring in all of these different things. if we have the budget for it, if we're not talking 60,000 people. But even if we are doing a really large event, we will try to do things like even the most simplistic of making sure that online attendees can ask Q&A in the chat, right? If they have the budget, then I look at them, I'm like, great, let's have the online attendees actually up on the screen where I can see and hear them. It's usually when my AV people just start Beetlejuicing their head, because it's possible, but they're like, we don't like that answer. So we just try to bring in those different elements. Again, it depends on who the audience is, but we try to find a way that we can have that experience with them. We will do speed networking where we actually will put live and virtual attendees. So I will tell my live attendees, come in here, sit down with your iPad. We're putting you in a room with people because now we can make that partnership for you, right? So there's a lot of different things that you can do. Again, just depends on your audience, but happy to chat with you guys about it too, to give you ideas.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, we've got 5 minutes left. Your questions?
I talked really fast today. Oh my God.
You did so good, Lisa.
Hi, I have a question regarding venues. What advice would you have for a new venue in the city as a planner who focuses on these things? What would you be looking for? Like, what would stand out to you?
Yeah, when I do site visits, I walk through and I just try to find something that's unique about the site, right? So I love looking at maybe lighting that looks different. I love looking at spaces that feel different. So if I am looking, I like things that feel cozy if I'm doing any kind of meetings, networkings, things like that. So even like walking around a convention center, I'll try to find a space that I'm like, oh, okay, maybe we could do something cozier over here, right? Or maybe this room has really cool lighting, and so maybe we can do something unique over here. We look at, even working with the aquarium, where does the bar go, right? We have an amazing planner who planned that event tonight, and she was working with them to make sure that experience just felt right. So that with the venues is really important. I also am a big advocate. I tell the venues, tell me what I don't know. They know their space better than I ever will. So I tell venues all the time, if you can sell me the venue, but I actually want you to sell me the experience, right? You guys know your space. Tell me something cool and unique I didn't think of that we can do here. And that falls on the venue, but it can actually really make things incredibly a different experience. Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
We have time for one more question, if
Who's brave?
anybody has one. Anybody? Anybody? Okay.
Hi. For separation of church and state, I'm a conference planner. And so our group of people is multi-generational. And so I'm wondering, with the tools you gave us today, what would your approach be when you're trying to bridge those gaps while ensuring that folks have a universal experience?
Yeah, I ask a lot of questions. So I will bring people in, whether it's an official like advisory board or whether it is let me bring a group of people in of all different generations and let's sit down and have that conversation, right? My 20 and 23 and 26, holy smokes, year olds, the math's getting harder. They think very differently than I do, right? So they experience this world differently than I do, right? So how many of us get stuck on something and we just hand our phone over and we're like, oh my God, just fix it. Well, you don't, but I do, right? So if you can bring in those different generations and have those conversations with them to say, we want to make sure that we are addressing all of these different generations. Even this event, we have 5 different generations that attend this event. That's crazy, y'all, right? So have those conversations and try to figure out and make sure that you're addressing how they want to experience things.
You guys want to hear a wrap summary of that talk? This was a really easy topic to rap about, don't worry. Events on the brain, you built it and we came, had an incredible time, and something changed. I had the time of my life. I got amazed. My whole brain wiring got retrained. It's like events on the brain, happiness, optimism, trust, relationships. It's all neuroscientific. Events on the brain. When I say it, you say it. Events on the brain. I just infiltrated your neurons when you said what I said. In other words, events are all in your head. You want to throw a memorable event that's really magic? Great. Memory is all in the hippocampus. You want people to be full of trust and always open? Congratulations. Hey, you're trading in oxytocin. You feel your attention drifting, lack of focus. That means your prefrontal cortex functions broken. You need a pattern interrupter to recapture attention. Get a rapper for your session. That's my suggestion. Holy moly, my brain really controls me totally, and I feel fine with it. That's dopamine. Dopamine, I'm full of pleasure and good vibes. Learning about brain hacks with Lisa Schulteis. And if you run events, that means your full-time job is programming brains to have good times. Events on the brain. You built it and we came, had an incredible time. And something changed. I had the time of my life. I was amazed. My whole brain wiring got retrained. It's events on the brain. Happiness, optimism, trust, relationships. It's all neuroscientific. Events on the brain. When I say it, you say it. Events on the brain. So where my purple Play-Doh people at? You now have the basis of a friendship, interact, and where my Play-Doh people with the pink ad, I get you, and Sasha really gets you with the killer pink suit. That's an attention disruptor, capture the eyes, got the dopamine flowing, Sasha flashing the vibes, and I feel the mood buzzing, a super discussion, the pleasure's flowing, yes, that's my nucleus accumbens, like, it's great to hang with ya, it makes me feel like dancing, that's my basal ganglia, I love this kind of session, it's crazy and brilliant, my neurons love it too, all 86 billion, so I'm flowing with oxytocin, I'm styling flows, capturing crowd engagement, parietal lobe, and no, I don't feel stage fright, I rip it up, that's cause I'm good at shutting down my amygdala, don't be a slave to anxiety, zip it up, cortisol flowing from an organ as big as a nut, I don't take orders for almonds, that's a deep breath I take, whoo, and it's calming, then I dive in deep, then I be a hype MC, can you tell Lisa, I'm a neuroscience geek. I love to focus on the details, and yup, the source is a high-functioning prefrontal cortex. So where my cerebral people at? My Avengers! Don't be too ponderous. Engage the five senses, adaptability, sense of touch, tactility, a natural facility, y'all. Are you feeling me? You want to go back to being 3 years old? Just open and smell a jar of Play-Doh. Make events sensory as raves in Ibiza. Everybody make noise for Lisa. It's events on the brain. You built it and we came, had an incredible time and something changed. So when I say it, you say it. It's not strange. Events on the brain. Events on the brain. Events on the brain. Events on the brain. And that's how all your brains change.
I think that's what we call a pattern interrupt. Let's hear it for Baba.
Thank you.